പിണറായി സർക്കാരിന്റെ സ്വപ്ന പദ്ധതിയായ അതിവേഗ ട്രെയിൻ പാതയായ കേരയിൽ പദ്ധതി കേരളത്തിന്റെ സാമ്പത്തിക, പാരിസ്ഥിതിക, സാമൂഹിക ദുരന്തമായിരിക്കുമെന്ന് പ്രമുഖ സുപ്രീം കോടതി അഭിഭാഷകനും അഴിമതിക്കെതിരെ പോരാട്ടം നടത്തുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന പ്രശാന്ത് ഭൂഷൺ വ്യക്തമാക്കി. ഇത് കേരളത്തിന്റെ തകർച്ചയ്ക്ക് മറ്റൊരു കാരണമാകും. വനവും മലകളും തീരവും തകർത്ത് വേണം കേരയിൽ പണിയാൻ. മലകളും ദുർബല പ്രദേശവും തകർത്ത് തുരങ്കവും പാലവും ഒക്കെ പണിയുമ്പോൾ അതീവ ദുർഘടമായ കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഭൂപ്രദേശത്ത് മറ്റൊരു ദുരന്തത്തിന് കൂടിയായിരിക്കും വാതിൽ തുറക്കുക. 1 ലക്ഷം കോടി രൂപ ഇതിനായി ചെലവ് വരും. ഇത് കേരളത്തെ സാമ്പത്തികമായും തകർത്ത് തരിപ്പണമാക്കുന്ന ദുരന്തമായിരിക്കും. തീരദേശത്ത് നിർമ്മാണം നടത്തിയിട്ടുള്ള നിർമ്മാണക്കാരിൽ നിന്നും ആ ഭാഗത്ത് പരിസ്ഥിതിക്കുണ്ടായ നാശനഷ്ടം ഈടാക്കണമെന്നും പ്രശാന്ത് ഭൂഷൺ വ്യക്തമാക്കി. തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തെത്തിയ പ്രശാന്ത് ഭൂഷന്റെ പ്രതികരണത്തിൽ നിന്നും
ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് വളരെ സന്തോഷമുള്ള ഒരു ദിവസമാണ്. ഇന്ന് നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം ഒരു എമിനന്റ് ലോയർ, സുപ്രീം കോടതിയിലെ പേര് പറയേണ്ട കാര്യമൊന്നുമില്ല, പ്രശാന്ത് ഭൂഷൺ ജി നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം ഉണ്ട്. സോ വി ആർ റിയലി താങ്ക്ഫുൾ ഫോർ ഷെയറിംഗ് 5 minutes with us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. So just want to ask you, Kerala actually is in a fix now. People of Kerala, about 3.5 crores people, because of the recent occurring floods. Floods is really hurting us, and every other day one rain comes, some people are being flown away, and nobody is bothered, and nobody is fixing the responsibility. Nobody knows how is all happening. What do you have to say about this recent occurring floods?
So, one is climate change, which Kerala has no control over, but the damage done by floods is aggravated by a lot of unplanned construction, improper construction that is going on. And that construction is going on for various projects which are allowed or undertaken by the government of Kerala. For example, the K-Rail, which will involve a lot of cutting through forests and mountains, etc., which will cause irreversible damage to the ecology of this region and aggravate the problem of floods, etc., floods, landslides. Same thing is happening in the Vihingam port also, where against the advice of the environmental engineers and others, this Vihingam port is being constructed, which will cause enormous environmental and ecological damage to this area. So the climate change problem is greatly aggravated by unplanned construction, cutting of the mountains, cutting of the coasts, etc.
So don't you think this coastal zone management plan, which was not in existence from 1996, about 25 years, Kerala did not have a coastal zone management plan, and they don't fix no development zone between the river, and if a construction starts near a river, that is, which is a CRZ line. Here Kerala, nobody knows anything about no development zone, and nobody maintains. To cheat the public or cheat the government, they'll show some place. Then after that, nobody knows. The river comes flowing, one rain comes, then over flooding, the whole building is washed away. People are also being. Don't you think it's high time government of Kerala fixed responsibility for those buildings near these CRZ lines without any no development zone?
Yes, firstly there should be a no development zone. The coastal zone regulation plan should have been made. It's very unfortunate that it was not made. Secondly, in the absence of that, yes, responsibility should be squarely fixed on the developer. If any developer is making construction in the coastal area, and if that causes any damage, he should be made to pay for that damage.
Who should be made? The authorities.
The developer. So for example, in the Vihingam port, the developer is Adani. The government has given them the concession to develop that port, and they should be made to pay for any damage that occurs due to this development at the coast.
Another thing is, one thing which has become a big problematic is this Mullaperiyar Dam. Mullaperiyar Dam agreement was written during the Raja's time. Now it is 134 years up. Still it is people, every other day minister will come and say, or the previous minister say, that dam is going to burst, about 35 lakhs or 1 crore people is going to be washed away. And the other day, Tamil Nadu Tamil Nadu minister came and said, nothing doing, we are not going to build any new dam, and we are going to fix it in 150 meters level. And Kerala is crying, no, we will not fix it more than 139. What do you have to say about it, sir?
I don't know. This is not my area of knowledge, so I wouldn't like to comment anything about this.
Okay, then one more thing is Article 14 and 16. I don't need to tell you anything about Article 14 and 16. Article 14 16 is being havoc in the state of Kerala on this aided schools and management appointments. And what is happening for the past 65 years, one rule was there, one law was there which was amended in 1959 or something like that. And since then, if you want to get a job in aided school where the total salary is being paid by the government from the exchequer, you will have to pay about 50 to 60 lakhs without any PSC test, without any competitive test. Third class degree fellow also can get in if you give 50 to 60 lakhs. Don't you think it's high time the Kerala government came upon it and made it competitive so that we are actually making the future generation from schools?
Yes, for all these aided institutions where the government is paying for the salaries, the government should certainly have control over the kind of people that are being appointed to such colleges, etc. And it is there in many states that they have laws which regulate the manner of appointment and selection of teachers in aided schools and colleges, and there the government has a substantial say in it.
And not only that, another thing is this KRL, they are very adamant to bring in 1 lakh crore and invest here in KRL thing. Do you think actually they should look for an option to save Kerala from floods and all these things, occurring floods? KRL, whether is it, do we really need it? What is your opinion actually?
No, in my opinion, KRL will be an environmental, financial, and social disaster. It's going to cause enormous environmental and ecological damage in Kerala, since it is going to cut through, make a fresh line by cutting through forests, mountains, hills, making a lot of tunnels, bridges, etc. Apart from that, it's going to be a financial disaster because 1 lakh crores will be spent on the standalone line which is being built on standard gauge, which cannot be integrated with the rest of the railways. And it will be a social disaster because a lot of houses and people's lands are going to go into this project. And in my view, it's not required because you can strengthen the existing railway line in Kerala from north to south Kerala and increase the speed of trains to 150 kilometers. This additional 50 kilometers which this K-rail is supposed to run at 200 kilometers, etc., is not of such benefit so as to spend 1 lakh crores and do so much environmental and social damage. In my view, it will be a disaster for Kerala.
Yesterday, actually, the Honorable Finance Minister of Kerala State came and said they are very adamant that they are not going to bring down any price rise. Even though with all this pressure, government of India has brought down little price, 5 rupees or 10 rupees, but not even 1 rupee. This Honorable Minister is not willing to. He said, no, we will not bring it down. What is your opinion on this? Actually, 300 rupees earner is there. And about 1 lakh rupees earners is there, all bureaucrats. 300 rupees, 400 rupees daily wages. They'll also pay out of every. How can they bear it if the government does not come down on it?
I don't want to say anything about this because you see, there are complex questions of both finance as well as ecology, because to some extent fossil fuels need to be discouraged in my view. So therefore, in one way, it is not really bad to have high taxes on fossil fuels, on the consumption of fossil fuels. So therefore, that's a complex issue. I don't want to say anything clearly definitive on that.